And we are live. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Desis&Dragons. And this is our Game Master Q&A, where we're going to be talking to our wonderful Game Masters and then one extra person who just happened to lurk around. As we discuss, and I'll leave it up to you who that is. As we're going to be discussing what it takes to create a short campaign, run a game, and essentially just make the magic happen, right? My name is Shubham Mehta. I'll be somewhat moderating this conversation. I don't want to, I will be really stretching the limits of that word. That word's going to be doing a lot of weightlifting today. We'll see how it goes. And thank you for joining us. I'm going to throw it to our wonderful GMs, starting with Shiva. Shiva, please tell us who you are.
Hello, everyone. I am Shiva, he, him. I am the Dungeon Master. I've just recently DM'd the Wildmount Faith and Fury campaign. If you haven't checked it out yet, go check it out on YouTube and on the Desis&Dragons Twitch channel. And you can also find me on Desis server, link somewhere. You can come hang out with me. We play Mass, we play D&D, and you can also find me on Twitter at Siva0714.
Nice. The link for the server is now in chat. You can totally come join us there. We also have spooky Halloween week going on. So if you want to play a bunch of spooky games, come sign up. The information will be on the server. Now, let me throw to Chirag. Chirag, introduce yourself, please.
Hi, I'm Chirag. I was one of the co-founders of Desis&Dragons. I was Ishkar, the absolute worst on the Wildmount, and I also managed to be a Blaze of the Yanta. That was good. That was me. I got to do that. And yeah, really excited for this. I'm really excited for spooky stuff. For spooky stuff that's happening. Please come. I'm DMing one of the games as well. So, come join that. Come join the server. And Shubham, you want to invite our special guest?
Our special guest. Am I inviting them? They're organizing the spooky event. Is that I missed that? You know what? It's fine. This has been Chaotic Starts, brought to you by Shiva Mehta. Ari, please, could you tell us about yourself, please?
Okay. Hello. I am Ari. I run a few games on the Desi server. I don't know why I'm here. Hi. Shubham kidnapped me. Oh.
I to Smarticot in chat who is currently spamming Ari, and I'm going to expect you all to clip that at some point.
I love
they can't see the chat, just so you know. So you can keep spamming it.
I can't see shit.
Yeah. But nevertheless, let's get this conversation started. This is a Game Master Q&A, and I will be focusing on the short campaigns that were run by all the wonderful GMs over here. But you're also welcome to ask them almost anything. And I will try to weed out some of those questions and throw them into the conversation. As long as they're relevant to TTRPGs, I will consider them.
Wait, did you trick us into some kind of interrogation here?
Well, you know what? It's about time the lawyer got lawyered.
We have ways of making you talk.
Oh, no.
All right. So,
I'm scared now.
Buckle up. And question one, right? So now, you've all run long campaigns before. I know Siva has a massive cross-player, cross-table spanning Masks game. Chirag has run Eberron for us and multiple other campaigns in his lifetime. I have multiple D&D campaigns running. Ari, you have run Monster Hearts. You're currently running a new D&D campaign. These are all long campaigns, and the prep for that is fairly different. When it comes to a short campaign, you have 4 sessions, which is about 12 hours to tell a story in. How does your approach change when it comes to even the initial planning for something like this, right? And I'm going to throw first to Chirag, and then we'll go to Siva and Ari, because I want both of you to talk to me together, because you did work together on Faith and Fury. So, Chirag.
Sure. So when I was doing the short prep for Blade of the Yanta, it was the first one that was going to be streamed, one of my first short campaigns. So I was trying to think, because it's short, I can think of a very specific theme or mood that might not work for a long series campaign, but I could go for something that's fairly short, fairly impactful. It's one adventure. So not like a first season, but just a short movie, if you want to do that kind of vibe. And so I was thinking, what would be fun for that kind of vibe? And as I came up with the concept, came up with the idea of like that pitch. I also had to like come up with, because it was set in the 1970s India, and we wanted to make sure that, and it touched a little bit like some political stuff that was happening at the time, the unions, and some bits of religion. So I had to check with the guys, is everything okay? So I actually had to like write out the idea of plot of that as a turning like episode to episode, and I used that as kind of a guideline to keep me going. So I was really grateful that I managed to have that. But yeah, it was very much because I'm in that short space, so I can't think like what is something that is long standing that can keep going, like the Ebon campaign. Like, okay, it's a massive quest collecting all 12 of the MacGuffins. It's like, no, this one is like, it's very short. What is a short, fun kind of adventure, and what's like an exciting way to end it? So I was like, yes, I'm going to do it. I only have this at a time. They're never going to let me have a season 2. So I get how exciting, how impactful can it be? So that kind of narrowed in focus is what I was using for when I was like planning the adventure. And yeah, they let me get away with it. I have no idea why.
Maybe because you're good at it. It could have something to do with that, but I don't want to jump ahead of myself. And then Siva and Ari, how was it? What did you have a similar approach? You guys also were dealing with a very different setting, unlike Chirag, who was dealing with an alternate history of India where Yantas exist. You were dealing with a established lore, but which had some blank spaces. So how did your whole approach change?
Yeah, so the first thing that we really focus on, and Ari can also like help me out and pitch in here, is we listed on all the things that are canon, and these are like non-negotiables. These cannot change. No matter what happens, this cannot change. Like if any PC interrupts this particular event, that will like not be successful at all. So we have a list of established events throughout, like from the start to the finish of the campaign. We have like I literally have had like a notepad of a Google sheet of just like established events that cannot be messed with. I also remember like in session 0 also I told you like there are some certain events, and because of spoilers I didn't tell you exactly what events, but I told you that there will be some events where so that's one part, right? But then like that doesn't really have anything to do with the short campaign stuff. Short campaign, like what really like I was focusing on was a theme, and Ari really helped me out with the mechanics and the story building and like weaving the player characters, the narratives into the story. My main focus was the theme. Like, you have a short campaign, you have like 4-5 sessions, you really want the theme to pop out. And in our case, in Wildmount Faith and Fury, it was all about religion. It was all about blind faith. It was all about actions based on divine commandments, which have no meaning, no logic, but they just, someone told you to do it, you trust them and you do it. And you don't really think about the logic behind it. So that was the theme of our campaign, and that's what I wanted to always emphasize on. And I constantly used to keep talking to Ari about this, like, okay, this is what the players want to do, this is what I want to do, this is the theme. Keeping this in mind, what kind of story would you weave? And that's, Ari, you can like chip in on how you help me flesh out the entire just taking that theme from there and extrapolating it into like a story itself.
Yeah, like from my side, the prep for this was very easy because Shiva had like such a, he had like the framework very clearly outlined. So I didn't have to like worry too much about like where are we going, what are we doing. Also, the Exandria itself is like incredibly detailed in its lore. So the Tal'Dorei Reborn is like amazing. So you just have to read and you get the main points of what's supposed to happen. The only fear was that the players were not going to be integrated into the story very easily. Like that was one of my major concerns because the theme is already set, the end is already set, the canon is already set. Where will you fit in the players? Will they even fit in? Was like one of the biggest issues I had. I even brought it up with Shiva like on day 1. But Shiva came up with this. I love this idea. I'm definitely going to steal it. Shiva came up with this idea of giving you all secrets before the game started. I don't know if you figured out other secrets at this point, but that was such a good mechanic of like bringing connections between players without forcing them to be a party even before you start. Like he could have just told you like, yeah, you all know each other, you have to know each other, go from there. But he started it with like, yeah, you know this much about someone in the place, you know this much about someone in the other place. That was like, I thought it was an interesting mechanism to use going forward.
I'll just add one thing here. Like a short campaign, as a storyteller, as a GM, you feel constricted because you know that you have a start, you have an end, and you just leave the players to do what they want between the start and end. So you're kind of like already boxed in, right? Like you have like the four corners of the wall set in, and you can't really like go too far out because you also want to keep in mind it's a short campaign, and because you're restricted by that, right? It becomes more of a DM vision rather than a player vision. Like in a sandbox campaign, a long campaign, the players can do what they want, even if it's not sandbox, even if it's like it has like a whole structure and stuff. Usually, the players have agency on like the choices they make, places they want to go, things that they want their characters to explore. The players have a bit of agency, but in a short campaign, you're all within that tight box, and to tell that story, you can't ignore the players. You can't be like, no, this is not like what your actions. You want to like explore, like you want to go talk to somebody. That person has no consequence, so we leave that out. You can't do that also, but you have to like find balance between like player agency and also the story that you want to tell in a constricted time. So a lot of it goes to like advanced work, like fleshing out the characters a lot. Like I remember working with all of you to like flesh out to because our campaign had like a secretive element. I worked with you individually, but if it doesn't, you can also work in a group. But just understanding the players' intentions, what they're interested to explore, what they're interested to do, will really help in like restricting yourself to that one box.
Definitely like a curated experience. Like you have like the experience you want to give the players, and they can choose from the menu that you are supplying.
Yeah.
But it's like for Yanta, I couldn't be like, I had these like specific locations like Nepal, Delhi, but I couldn't be like, oh, we want to go down to Sri Lanka. I'm like, I have nothing prepared for that. So that's why I wasn't like, it's like, well, if a normal game, they're like, no, we want to explore. We want to go to Russia. We want to go to all these things. Like, no, these are the experiences I have on offer. Please select from the menu. Please don't order off menu.
This brings a question, because you all have talked about how yes, you do totally need to restrict a level of movement or player agency, because it's kind of like how in video games there are invisible walls that prevent you from exploring in certain directions, right? And you need that to kind of keep the momentum, to keep the focus of the story, which is very different from a long campaign where if players are also okay with just wandering off. I had a question about NPCs. Were there NPCs who had plot armor? Chirag, did you want to say something here?
I meant, before we want to go on that, you very narrowly avoided your game. Your game was had a very different experience, because
fair enough.
Very info based, and so you can't prepare as much. Or were you able to prepare as much for a short campaign?
No. My approach to the masks was very much write down a series of things I want to satirize, because it was based on The Boys, which is heavily satirical. So I kind of picked up, aspects from India that I wanted to have a little bit of fun with, and wrote a general outline of a conspiracy, which is like 3 or 4 bullet points of a conspiracy that was at play. And then I left it to what the players came up with, because like you said, Masks is extremely improv based, and it's very easy in Masks to break the wall and kind of go into the another thing that you didn't see coming. So planning that did make a lot of sense. I also I think I had the benefit of, when I was approaching Masks, the goal was to just have a lot of fun playing in the Boys world. It wasn't about delivering a very specific campaign promise, right? Like Valmount has a very clear campaign promise of exploring this time period. Blades of Yanta is again about exploring this alternate history, and you don't want to leave the audience hanging without enough information to chew on. Whereas I was very much in a world we already were familiar with. So as long as everyone was having a laugh, I was pretty much doing okay, and was okay to kind of keep running. So yeah, my prep was different, and I also had fewer walls to worry about. So yeah.
But did you have like a place where you wanted to end the campaign on? Like, did you have that set in advance, or was it like on the fly?
I had thought of a cool fight that could be at the end, and then it never happened because players went in a completely, I don't even know what it is now. I just know that it played out very differently from what I had imagined, and it was chaotic and crazy. But because everyone was laughing and like having a laugh, I was okay with it. So yeah, there was very few things that there was nothing that I thought, okay, this will be something that will last to the end, right? Nah, dead. Okay, never mind. So yeah, it was very different.
That's how it happens with the boys. They just there's like lethality is in the system. Any other genre of teen superheroes, like we would have put them in jail, but because we were the boys, accidentally killing or on purpose killing is part of the theme.
Yep.
Well, this was a mistake.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll deal with it tomorrow.
I guess in a way I lived up to the boys' promise. So I'm proud of myself, and we will move on from that. So yes, my question was: were there NPCs who had plot armor, and did you essentially? How did you go about creating, both of you, creating moments of the choice or illusions of choice without outright, just forcing players in a certain direction, right?
Shubham, you want to go first? Because you had you were very much saying we have things that you cannot mess with. You literally like, there are going to be NPCs you cannot.
No, so I had only one NPC who had plot armor, which was the High Cleric in our campaign, because the High Cleric needed to do what they did. But I didn't really give them plot armor. I just set it in a way that the High Cleric has already done what they could, and I don't know. Can we do spoilers in this?
Yeah, I think you can give spoilers.
Guys, if you haven't seen it, come back and watch the VOD of this. But there's going to be a bit of spoilers. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. It's fine.
Okay. Okay, I'll put it this way. The main antagonist isn't really there, right? The one who has plot armor isn't there at all in the campaign. You never interact with them. You only hear about them from third-party accounts. So for me, the one person that I needed to protect, I just took them out of the game. You can't mess with something that's not there. And then the rest of the NPCs are, I didn't really bother. I mean, they were all free to interact. You all had your choices to make. But yes, a huge credit to Ari for that suggestion. Especially fleshing out all the NPCs was all they're heavily influenced by Ari's suggestion. And that, Ari, you want to say something?
Yeah. That wasn't the only NPCs you didn't let me murder. The Baron and the Baroness, I suggested murdering them in episode 3 just to set the tone. Shiva told me that's not canon.
Yeah.
We were supposed to follow canon. So I had to take away the murder there also. But yeah, I mean, D&D is surprisingly easy to not kill NPCs because you can just remove them, or worst case scenario, you can plane shift them out of there.
Fair enough.
There's always plane shift.
Ari had a shock moment for me to throw, a shock cliffhanger for me to throw in the game, of where the Baron and the Baroness, who were kind of on your side, to straight up be assassinated in this thing. But
I was so excited for that suggestion. I was like, kill them. This is true.
We should clip Ari saying, kill them at some point. And
I say that so much.
We'll get a lot of use out of that.
It's true. That should be a playable GIF in our chat.
But I will add one thing seriously though. A lot of this plot armor that you thing, I didn't really have to get into it because you all already had given me a lot about what your characters' interests are. I remember we spoke about we did a detailed character building in chat and then on session 0, and you all had clear motivations where your path could kind of be predicted. I mean, obviously, it's not and on that illusion of choice also, there were places where you had to choose. There were choices that you had to make which impacted the game. But none of the choices that you would have made would have messed with the story, because I kind of knew in advance what to prepare for, because of the way we fleshed out the characters and because of the characters that you all built and played. The choices that you made were kind of almost binary, or at max 3 choices, and I had a plan A, plan B, plan C for most of those things. So I didn't really need plot armor, except for one major NPC, who I just took out of the game.
Chirag?
For me, important NPCs. Anyone, I wasn't too bothered because the tone of the game was sort of Voltron, Power Rangers, where it's they don't often kill the bad guys straight out, or they kill people in general. So there wasn't anyone I was too thinking. I would have been sad if for some reason they killed Tokum, but I didn't really like put in the situation where they'd want to. I don't think they had any at any point they wanted to. They can let me know later if they did. The exact opposite was kind of like I needed somebody to die because I knew from the start that spoilers for Blades of the Yanta. 5 seconds to get out. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Yeah, I needed Kaz's character to die, and it got to the point where I was like, so I knew that it wasn't happening. So I was figuring out what's going to happen after he dies, and put it in there. So I was always thinking that, but also my big bad, they weren't going. They had to summon through a portal. They had to come out. So the players couldn't really kill. It was where they wanted to fight him at the end. Could they fight him in Delhi, or were they going to fight him in Rajasthan? And they stopped the train and they fought him in Delhi instead of going all the way to Rajasthan. So that was okay. They still got the main experience, which was fighting a bad guy. And it's that's the experience I had to give, because it's if you're not fighting a giant monster, why are you watching this game, which is giant mechas fighting giant monsters?
Right.
So that's I had to.
I think that actually, if I may jump the gun here, but that actually brings a very key point to light, that both campaigns essentially make a promise, right? That when Yanta starts out, you want to see mechs, you want to see a giant creature, you want to see them do something to kind of get into their mechs and meet. And even Tokum is such an important aspect of the Ranger mecha universe kind of tropes, right? So that, and similar with Valmount, I think even as players, we had a promise that was made, which was that this will deal with morality and gods, and it will lead to big choices, right? So it felt very much, internal, because the thing you said about adding secrets, it made it very much your internal flaws are going to be very relevant to what happens. So I think as long as you delivered on that promise and were leading with that, it felt okay for a lot of the other things to go to the side, right? If I didn't have a bar scene where I could, I don't know, get into a drinking competition, it was okay, because even though that's a staple of D&D games, it didn't feel relevant to our ability to live out this particular story. Does that seem like a fair summarization of what you guys were kind of saying? Cool.
Yeah. Go ahead, Chirag.
Yeah, we were giving experiences that is because it's so short. We couldn't do everything, but we tried to do experiences that you wouldn't get in other RPG shows. Mine was a different kind of setting, modern but 70s, or having strange monsters in this kind of setting, or just being able to fight in a giant robot and have Power Ranger style transformations,
right?
Power of friendship, and have those kind of things. And there was more focus on that. I'm well, they could have been doing all these kind of things. They could be in Japan, they could Pacific. I'm no, these are experiences that you. I'm fine if they don't have a drinking contest, but they did get they did mess up a party anyway, so they did already have a kind of barroom brawl in episode 2, so that was fine.
True, that was a good one. I think with that, I want to move on to our next question. So I just kind of quickly taking a tangent from campaign prep and how to approach this. I wanted to ask Siva, this is your first time streaming a game. What did you think? How did it feel? Do you want to do it again? Is this more than enough? Where are we on the whole streaming side of things?
That's a question to ask on stream.
Yeah,
exactly.
I know. I mean, I'm here on the stream, but no, genuinely love the streaming experience. I mean, we also had the benefit of pre-recording, so a lot of the credit goes to Chirag for making all of us look good. But yeah, excited.
Shout out to
stream.
The amazing sound effects that were there throughout the whole campaign, and the use of music.
I'm only as good as the initial recording and the people performing, so that is a lot of it is Shubham and you guys.
You are also in the recording, but all the self-congratulations can come back later. Siva, you were saying.
No, so yeah, it was a cool experience. I mean, I really loved it. The one, you're also conscious of, apart from the storytelling, you're also conscious of presentation, you're conscious of time, because you have a set time for the stream. But all that really helped to really drive home the theme. I keep coming back to this because the more tight you try to make it, like the more compact you try to make it, then you just like remove all the fluff out of it, and you keep it like to a really core story. And yeah, I think streaming really helped. I'm pretty sure if this was off stream and it was still a short campaign, it would have been still a little bit more sandboxy. Players would have been flexible that, oh, this session is running a little long, let's just like spill over to another session if you're all free. You get those kind of things. But like with a stream, you're even like bound by the dates, the time, like everything is like set in stone, and you have to like make sure that you get your story just right.
It's almost as if the scheduling big bad evil guy of TTRPGs has already been like defeated, because you're like, I cannot cancel, and therefore I will come and play.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I would say that because it was such a short thing, and I think I wouldn't have played Ishkar as he was in like a home campaign or like a longer campaign, because like playing someone who is so anti the rest, his goals are so anti the rest of the team, and I'm just like, that would not be fun for like so I made that influence my character. Like, okay, I would not play someone with such a big thing in like a normal game, because it's not like good. It's not good player lessons to like be someone who's so against the rest of the team. It's difficult to do well because it was a short campaign. Like, well, it's fine. Ishkar will probably die. It'll be okay. Instead, you made him live with the guilt. How dare you?
Of course.
How dare you?
Of course.
So ready to die, and I was like, oh no, I have to survive in this world. That sounds horrible.
No.
Amazing. Glad to know that you enjoyed streaming. We will hopefully have you back on soon. Ari, if you at some point after this want to try it out, let us know. Okay. Now going back into the campaign stuff, right? I think we've talked about how to plan for such a campaign and how to create NPCs. But I had two particular questions. One was, and you guys have already touched upon this, that it was very important to create certain kinds of player characters, right? To really have them have deep motivations. So what was your in fact, give me details. Give me, what was your idea with player character creation? What were your prompts? Because no one has seen here at the session zeros. These were both private. So tell us about like what was the process that went into creating these characters. Let's start with Chirag, and then we'll go back to Siva and Ari again. Yeah.
So like, what kind of prompts did I give the players?
Yeah, and what was your goal with creating those characters, if you had any?
Sure. Like, my prompts were like, I told the players the inspiration at the time period, but also like, because you're playing, it was the 1970s Indians, but also that the ideas of Voltron and Power Rangers, those kind of like images bringing up. So I was like, reach for those kind of like ideas. Like, they all also understood what Power Rangers was, or in the case of Ikrik, what Voltron was. And he very stressed, like, I love Voltron 1 Power Rangers. Like, it's fine, it's not a contest. But it's like, knowing those kind of things.
Yeah.
But it's like seeing those are like the elements you could pull from. Yeah. Some people pulled more strongly from like the Power Ranger tropes, while others went very strong. Like, what is an appropriate character for this time period? What would make sense? But some people just like, so you could see like Nikhil was playing a character who's very filmy, who kind of fit that theme of that like time period. That, and a very Indian concept, like the taxi driver, his very specific accent, having his twin, but his twin show up as well. That is like very filmy for the time period.
Yeah.
An evil twin. So like that was very strict in. Then we had like other people. Then Pan also had his like soldier who was like very much from that kind of time period, which is both like a mecha thing, where it's like, and like I am an older, more experienced, one who's trying to look after the young cadets, and I have to watch over them, and maybe I'll die first. That was a very thing. He's like, maybe I can die first. Like, please watch episode 3.5. Please watch episode 3.5. Begging you, mate.
Yeah.
And and then you had other people who were like, okay, I want to play a character who like sits with the Power Rangers kind of theme. That was a bit more like a bit more like a particle kind of thing. And the very headstrong Crimson leader, played by Maitreya. So you had, and Kaz was all more artistic, had a lot of good things. But you could because you told them like what the kind of colors were, they could mix and match and make a character that suited that. Was also like only a character they could play. That was like kind of my thing. Those are like how it was. There weren't any classes that they had to worry about or any races. It was just because it was fate. So I had a little bit like, just what do you think is like a cool idea? So that I could make it as the concept and see how that worked. Then in session 0, we all talked and found ways we could all connect with each other. as opposed to, well, Shiva can tell us about his game how it was a bit more private, one-on-one. Even though we did have session 0, we did 100% session.
Yeah.
It was great.
And also Ari, tell us if you gave Shiva any suggestions on what kind of mischief to get up to with us.
I do have a little story about this, but Shiva, go first.
Okay. Go.
No, go for it. I'll go after you. I want to hear this first.
Before this was supposed to be a streamed game, Shiva wanted to run it. I think off stream, or we were just like talking about campaigns we want to run, and he brought this up, and I made a full-on character for this who was a warlock of like a random god, technically not a god, but like kind of a god and everything. And at that point, Shiva was convinced that everyone would want to be on the Dominion side.
Right.
Like he wanted to start. I don't even know if he remembers this, but his entire concept was
No, I
that
don't.
people were supposed to start from the Dominion side. And it was intensely funny for me when you made characters and none of you were from the Dominion. I was
Except Alika. Alika is my favorite.
except Leo, yes. Leo was from the Dominion, which worked out beautifully well. But like that's the whole point, right? Like when you run longer campaigns, you can just give people like, here's an entire world, be wherever you want. But you can't do that with a shorter campaign. Sorry, Chirag, go on.
Yeah, I mean, like my character was also from the Dominion, but he didn't exactly. He was a lot more Empire leaning. While Gear, well, I don't know where Gear was from, but he was definitely more Dominion's like neutral side. And so it was like there's also you could see most of the team was like, we want to find the high priest, we don't want to kill him. And then there's me who's straight up, I'm going to murk the guy.
The initial idea was to like put you directly. Oh yeah, sorry.
No. I'm just building on what you said. Finish.
Yeah, put you directly into the meeting that the Empire was having. Like the Emperor was gonna give like a speech and stuff. You were supposed to be at the speech and then be chased out of there and stuff like that. And I was very adamant on that point that there should be a chase. But yeah, that could not happen because most of you were aligned with the Empire for a bit, and it genuinely made sense to like bring you to the Dominion before all of that went down. In the end, the characters ended up like incredibly more related to the story when we did it this way, instead of just saying like you have to be in the Dominion, you cannot be like anywhere else.
There is one thing I want to say. You're like, oh, Shiva, made us all have secrets. Shiva kept a secret from me. I came up with the idea like, oh, maybe there was a paladin or cleric who burnt down my family. And he said, oh, okay, that's fine. The name of the guy's End in Dread. That meant nothing to me until episode 2. I was like, oh, the High Cleric of is End in Dread. So that completely recontextualized how I was behaving.
Wow.
Royal soldier.
Wow. Also, okay, here's the beauty of this, though. Of all the players who were in this campaign, Chirag was the only one who was not completely cued in on Exandria lore and Critical Role events. So he was the only one who could have chosen this backstory, a choice he made, and then be given a name that all the rest of us would have been like, that rings a few bells. And Chirag would have been the only one who would have gone like, okay, cool, it's a random name. And that payoff, my friends, is just divine intervention right there, making sure that the story works. Because that could not have happened otherwise, which is hilarious. I love it.
The second Shiva told me that Chirag made a character who had a cleric burn down the house, I was like, yes.
That's beautiful.
That was the best conversation of the entire campaign. Seriously, like the entire planning session, that was the best.
Actually, yeah. So I'll just. No. I think we came up with a name on the spot.
Yeah.
I mean, the name is not there. It's left blank in the book, so we for us to. So the thing with Wildmount is like it's a mix of a short campaign, but it's also a campaign with the lore baked in. I'm pretty sure like most short campaigns without this like lore restrictions will have like a bit more open reign on where the characters go, but we were also tied down by the lore. So that that worked out. It really worked out because you all filled in the blanks really well. What I will say is that why we did like extensive character fleshing out was exactly the reason that Ari pointed out, that depending on where you all would be in like this Cold War that was happening between two nations. And I didn't want to interfere with that. Like, honestly, I didn't want to tell you that, no, you are from here, you are this character, you are playing this. Like, I'm not going to impose my ideal situation on player choices. So I left you all to choose. I told you that in the Empire, these are these factions. There are these factions in the Dominion. Take what you this thing, and we'll see where we go from there. But because it created like such a diverse group, we really needed a reason for why you all would be doing what you would be doing, at least from the first episode onwards. And because it's a short campaign, you don't want to spend one episode bringing everybody together. You want to like have that luxury, at least, of like players are there, they know their role, they know why they're there, which required a lot of extensive background work. And actually, like, the credit for all this like goes back to Ari's Monster Heart campaign, the short campaign that they ran on the Desi server, where I think there were 12, 13 players. I'm not sure right now. 11, I think, last count was. Yeah, but Ari did like a really good job with like character creation, because there was already like people playing, and then there were like people joining in, and every person who joined in would get like a one-on-one session with Ari on who's your character, let's talk, let's have a conversation, let's find out where they fit into this world, and then you start playing. So even before even before your first session itself, you just no mechanics, no rule discussion, just a flavor wise, where do you fit into this world. And that was the inspiration for what we do in Mars. Also, we have like a questionnaire that you fill out, and same thing that I did in this campaign. Like, I made you all like flesh out why you're here, who you are, what brought you here. So that really helped. Like, that focuses the entire story into the short campaign.
I had a question, which was, so because this is again a tangent, but I was just curious. So Siva, your first time streaming, but Chirag, also your first time working with a completely brand new cast. What was that like? Because you are familiar, say for example, running games for me, Indrani, Alika. I'm trying to think if we have had anyone else on before that, and I don't think we have. This was the first time we.
Well, we've had guests appear on.
We've had guests, yes. But this was a time when you were running a completely new cast, and you also had a time limit. Did that affect how you were planning any of the prep for this, or how you got familiar with the players?
Part of the prep was, we had an open like interview earlier this year. We had an open interview where people would like send in, and then I was able to, all these people, I was part of the interview process where I would basically do a short, see how they reacted in improv, see how they engaged, learned about them. And so I was always like thinking like, who works, who plays right, who has a right kind of like attitude that would mesh well with each other, who gets in. I was able to like get this able to get this team that I think worked well. And then in the session 0, I could see how excited they were for the topic. And that's the important thing, getting people who are excited. Because if they're finding people who are excited for Power Rangers, it's not as easy as you think it would be. But when you get it, when they're excited about the theme and the topic, and it's like, great, I can feed off that excitement, because excitement, feeds on each other, and it grows and it grows. So I was able to use that. But yeah, the session 0, getting a vibe for them, getting to like really understand these guys, it was definitely like, process was like, I think everyone clicked fairly early on into together, but it was a process of like, we started from a good point, but we were becoming friends. I like to think we're friends. Any of you guys watching, say if you're friends with me or not. Wow, no one.
Everyone's friends.
Yeah, so just being able to like see everyone kind of working together, because I hadn't played with them before, but I got that's the important thing. At that point, it was just like, who feels like they got a good vibe and who vibes well with each other. Because if there was a point that you're like, no, I don't think you vibe right, I would have taken someone out and put them back in. Because like, you're really into like murdering everyone and like letting the monsters' corpses. That's not really the kind of Power Rangers I was looking for. We have different games for that. Boys is coming up, but it's just like it was just trying to find the right, because for new people, the important thing is just like finding people enthusiastic about the topic, or enthusiastic about that kind of thing. That's like something that will unite you, even if you don't have the shared past, the shared history, that can like keep you going. Yeah, just like find people who do that for that specific genre. That's what I'm looking for when I try and run different games. I'm like, who said they're into sci-fi? Who said they're into superheroes? Who said they're into horror? Not me. It's never going to be me for horror. Like, who's doing all these kind of like stuff? And I'll be able to see if they worked well together. Yeah.
If anyone can hear apparently explosions in the background, it's just firecrackers. It's some people are still under the assumption that it's Diwali over here. It's not. It ended yesterday, but hey, kids are going to be kids. Okay.
Yep.
Siva, are you saying anything else?
No, I was just like answering your streaming, first time streaming. I mean, obviously it helps like when there are other streamers on the thing, so you know what works, what doesn't work. I remember we had like a few bad takes and we had to like cut it out. We had the luxury of pre-recorded. So one, it gave us a chance to tinker with like music and background effects and also like secret one-on-one whispers, maps. So we had the luxury of all that, but the streaming part, I mean, I'm genuinely grateful. Like all of you were there on this thing. I think we chose that group also, like because you've already like done the Broken 12. So it's not going to be two different things. Like it's not going to be a different new campaign and also like a new cast. There was some stability, and that really helped with guiding the whole this thing too. Sorry, there are a lot of fireworks outside my house. I'm going to mute myself when you all like, talk for it.
No.
That makes sense. I did like that because we had the advantage of knowing each other. Like I knew immediately, like how far can I push the rest of the guys? I can like definitely muck with these guys. Like having someone who is a spy, who is like that kind of thing, would be like if they didn't know me, they might just think, oh, this guy's an asshole. He's one of those players. But knowing these guys, they're fine with me being that kind of player. They're fine with being that kind of asshole. I knew I could be like pull up on me like I could joke around with Leo. I could be like, yeah, we had this like long friendship that we've had together. We was Harry Dresden and John and Carpenter.
What a great
Magic
reference. Love it.
Yeah, we have that, and then I can immediately, because I've done it so many times and everyone, I feel like suddenly you say like, oh, and I start flirting with Indrani's character. The reversal, because usually Indrani initiates the flirting with my NPC. This time, like I did, and like anyone else?
Indrani was so caught off guard. It was beautiful. It was so that look of absolute what, and then later on. So that's what that feels like. Was chef's kiss. No one saw that coming. It was absolutely stunning.
It's great. It worked on because it was an honest feeling, but also it was double intending because plays you don't know if I'm being serious or not because it's like, man, he's acting weird, and then you tell Leo like, no, he's acting weird for a reason because he's in love. But that's why he's acting on having the private conversation. So it works both ways. But it was great. But if I didn't know that very well, I wouldn't. You have to get like the permission. Like, are you open to PC romance? Some people aren't. But I knew Indrani was. So it was fine for me to like spring that trap on her and on you guys and the audience. This is for you guys.
It's such a beautiful red herring. I think that's a writing lesson. You know, if you.
It was real.
It was also, but it was totally a deceit. It was deceit. It was real, but it was crafted.
The ring said it was the truth. So
fair enough. I actually do you guys actually want to throw to you. Do you have any questions you want to ask each other? Because there's some beautiful audience questions I want to get to, but I just wanted to ask you. Yeah.
I wanted to ask Shubham a question on the mask campaign.
Sure.
Yeah, like how was it like
terrible? I hated every moment
into the world of the boys. You know, like I mean, it's such a beloved show, and like you're taking on that entire aspect. You're not just copying like the satirical part, right? Like it is the world of boys that you're extrapolating into Mumbai, or like an Indian setting. What was that process like?
Honestly, I played fast and loose with a lot of this because the boys itself, I think, has a few key aspects that are locked in, which is like what is behind everything. Capitalism sucks. Everyone's screwed up on some level, right? Like these were like, I think the three tenets that boys holds true. So I took that and I went, okay, so how does this apply in India? I don't want what being also over here because that's not in the show. So let's create a slightly different timeline. I took a little bit of kind of alternate history approach there. I was like, well, we have a different company, and this was based on how Indian pharmaceutical companies basically produce duplicates of copyrighted products from America at much lower and affordable prices, which honestly saves many, many lives. So kudos to them. I don't know why people are, how it is that a first world country has $1,000 insulin. Get that shit fixed. But point being that I was like, okay, well, that means that there'll be an Indian company that is going to do the same with the super chemical. On top of that, there's also the fact that there are no real companies in India that produce arms. It's not a private sector. Governments buy arms from other countries or other arms dealers from outside, but no one is within. So I was like, okay, this is something that this company will want to do because arms deals are so beneficial to any company, right? So those were the two things that I kind of took, again, which was more thematic inspiration from the boys about greed and capitalism and kind of corrupt governments than it was straight translation. And then after that, I was like, okay, we'll have fun with a lot of the superheroes we know in India. I won't say beloved superheroes because I don't think many are. But I went and I was like, yeah, throw Shaktiman in there and throw Krish in there and throw what's his face, Rawan in there. Sure, why not? They all suck. Let's have some fun. And
so any Shaktiman stands in the audience?
No. I somehow, I mean, that
you'd be surprised.
That, I mean, well, the actor came out and became turns out to be a massive bigot. So I think he lost the few fans he must have had. But that, yeah, to answer your question, again, leaned more into like thematic inspirations from the boys because that's what I really enjoy about the show than trying to get Homelander to come in, right? Because if it felt like Homelander came in, it would have been, again, it would have, in this case, been a power plot armor NPC that no one wants to kill. So I didn't know if I wanted to play with that, so I went in a different direction. But now that I've said it, oh man, now I'm tempted by the idea of Homelander coming and fucking shit up. Damn it, we might need to do season 2 of Boys now. Okay. Chirag.
We're all so good. We're all like competing to get the next season 2.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, maybe Homelander is like the VIP guest for like some India-Pakistan cricket match or something like that.
Oh
like
God, that sounds so cringe. I love it. So 2023 is the year of season 2s. We're not going to have any originals. We're just going to have sequels. That's basically the goal.
Except for the season 1 original Ari's going to make, which they're announcing now.
True. Yes, Ari, you should totally announce your new campaign by the end of this stream.
I'm going to disconnect.
Do not do that. Do not do that.
We're losing it. What happened?
Good night.
So, okay. Let's. Did you have did anyone have any other questions?
No, you enticed us with some exciting
yes.
Audience
Let's get to audience questions.
Yeah, let's get the audience questions.
Okay, so Aziz had a lovely question, which was that they want to run short campaigns, which are like say PBTA, right? But they can't figure out how to handle power progression and levels and stuff because it's not like D&D where you can just start at a higher level. So how do you create the sense of progressing in a short campaign in a different system? Any ideas or suggestions?
Sure.
I have.
Oh, okay. I see both. Ari, take it away, and then we'll come back to Chirag.
Mine's kind of silly. I don't know if people will like it, but going back to Monster Hearts, when like new people joined in, I already had older players like Indrani, Silly, and all who were playing from literally the first session. They were already at like 3rd level up or 4th level up, and then Shiva joined in, and he was like at level 0. So all I did was just give experience for everything. Doesn't matter what it is, just give experience. If they do something cool, give experience. You don't have to wait for a failed roll to give people level ups. Just give them a level up because you're the GM. You can do anything you want. Like you don't have to wait for something particular. If there was like an amazing fight, like let's say kind of like in Wildmount, when you were all fighting in the temple when it collapsed. Oh, sorry, spoilers. 5-4. I'm not doing that.
Yeah. Wow, the commitment was there. It was there, and then the panic set in. Beautiful. I love it. Go on.
Yeah, when you were in the temple with Desis and all, I would have given everyone like level ups there. I would have given up Indrani a level up or at least experience for revealing the true form, stuff like that. You don't have to wait for the mechanics to give you level ups or experiences or anything like that. You can just give them. Okay,
Fair
fine.
enough.
It'll make it fun.
To quote the DMG, which I'm sure all of you have read as good GMs, is "You are empowered." There you go. Now, Chirag, you had an idea. Tell us.
Sure. For the for short campaigns, like because you may not have like the time to like level up or do that kind of stuff. The important thing is like not necessarily progress has to be mechanical, but when you're in a short campaign, you gotta like progress towards story achievements or like other things. Like you figure out like in a mask game, you're like, I gotta rescue, you know, my poor my sister's been taken. Like in a long form campaign, that could be like, oh, that could be like levels and levels away. But like, no, this is short. Rescue your sister now. Or like get the clues, figure out your sister now. Like that in itself is a form of achievement in that kind of like short short series. Just like being able to get that and seeing the tangible changes works that well as well. Alternatively, you can do expedited kind of like increased level, but most Powered by Apocalypse games, they kind of start at a good spot. Like Mask, they start you up at the point where you are a team superhero. You can kick ass basically as well as if someone else who also had like 3 levels of 3 more advancements than you. You're both going to kick ass more or less the same. The difference can be 1 or 2 numbers. There's going to be a little more options. And then other games, Monster Hearts, yeah, you can flirt a bit harder or, you know, shut someone down a bit more. But like the difference isn't that significant. The difference, instead of XP, the reward should be quicker. It's not like you get to do more things. Like, okay, we got to win prom. We got to like really do prom. Like, yeah, okay, you managed to pull off prom. Well done. Managed to pull that prom. Also, well done. And just like find those short achievements. Like, oh, I'll say them for ages. Will they, won't they? No. Do the will they, won't they now. Get that going and just keep getting what they want in that short frame and do all those kind of things. Because you may not have a cliffhanger. You may not have stuff to happen. Have a farm. Have an invasion at farm of aliens. Do what you got to do. What you do. Will they, won't they? It's have all the pregnancy scares you want to do for your teen romance. I don't know. All the exciting things that whatever people are into. Have a clone. Introduce clones.
Sure.
Like, you fell in love with my clone? No novella feel. But is there a way
you always have to mark your clone. Rookie mistake.
We should have marked. The clone was marked. I was chipped. I was the clone.
Oh God, I feel like people might be taking away the wrong advice from Chirag because so far I've seen pregnancy scares and clones as the notes that people have taken. This might not be the Q&A we wanted to go for, people. Okay, I have a little.
This is what happens when Indrani is not here to keep us on check. By the way,
it's only chaos can reign. Please, Indrani's half the trouble themselves. What are you on about? Indrani's, yeah. Let's not give undue credit there. Indrani's half the trouble. But
R.I.P. Shubham.
1993 to 2022. Till whatever date Indrani comes back from USA. Okay, I actually had a quick tip as well. I think in my Taldore game, which is a home game I'm running, we are only, I think, like 10 sessions in. And they have progressed about 4 levels or no. But in 3 levels in 10 sessions, and also only moved about a week or so in terms of time. And I mean, the whole point is that I had always imagined this to be a very compressed campaign, right? Because the nature of it is session 1 ends with alien invasion, right? So you can't have an alien invasion that runs a year long or 2 years long as a in-story thing. It just feels at some point it's lost its pace. If you look at a good alien invasion movie like War of the Worlds or what do you call it, even Independence Day or all these, it's a very short span, right? So to simulate that, I was like, yeah, you know what? Instead of long rest, you level up, and that's how you reset all your things. And now we keep going because you are on the run and you need to survive. So that's another approach I would say, is that like Ari said, just give experience, give levels, and focus on the story first usually, and that works out better for the overall experience. Are we? This is a question that was specifically written like this. Obviously, you can guess who asked this question. How do you manage to make your players get attached in short campaigns? What was a good way to hook them well into what you are selling? What's the drug that you peddle?
You know what? I can't take credit for this. I have players who go very, very hard from day one. Like I brought in Shiva and he started a PvP for what 4-day PvP just for character creation. Like I don't. I mean, I've been very lucky in finding players who are like very sincere, very immersive. But honestly, I would say just being upfront about what the world is about and finding players who are like genuinely interested in the world you're selling. That's that's a good place to start. Just it's also about I mean, again, we'll go back to safety tools. Lines and veils are good, but like stars and wishes are also like super important. Like just if they're your friends, you already know what they're looking for in a game usually, but it's best to ask, just like, is this something you're looking for? Is this something that's making you happy? Because Shiva recently made a character called Sheila Auntie in our Saran game, who is a matchmaker in my high fantasy world. Thank
That's
you for that. But
Matchmaker, made me a match.
yeah, he made 30 names of like NPCs and gave me an Excel sheet a day before session, by the way. So all of that, see, look, it makes him happy. It makes all of the players happy. Everyone literally like just absolutely got into it immediately because it was very fun.
hmm.
So just finding that point where people find that fun is like most important thing. It's not that hard. People will just tell you what they want. Like it's very easy. You just have to ask and listen.
I really love that you mentioned safety tools and especially stars and wishes because we used that during Faith and Fury. And I think it really helped us also hone in on how we wanted each session to go going forwards, right? Do you guys want to talk a bit about how that felt for you to use stars and wishes? Because we've used lines and veils and X cards before, but I think this is the first time we
Yeah,
really used
I'll say this. Yeah, like one, we also did it like after every session. Like after
Yeah.
we finished recording, we did like a private session between the players and us, stars and wishes. But more importantly, we also did like during the individual character creations, we also went back and forth on what you want your character to do. Right, like we didn't like call it stars and wishes then, but that was essentially the roadmap for your character. You know, like where do you see yourself in this world and what are you planning to accomplish? Like in an ideal situation, if everything was under your control, what is the end outcome? Then I was trying to fish that out from all of you, and then I use that into the narrative, so it gives you all a hook. So I know for everyone what is the hook that will like instantly get you into the game. And in a short campaign, you just start with that hook itself. Like you don't drag it on or you don't leave it till the end. You just like start with it in like the first, or in Chirag's case, the second episode itself. And then yeah, the individual stars and wishes after every episode, after every session, that really helps to like, you know, because even though we had like the plot set for Wildmont Faith and Fury, Ari, and like as soon as session one went we did our recording, I went back to Ari and I was like, okay, this is what happened. This is what they told me that they want to do, and how do we go from where they are to what they want to do, and also reach the story I want to tell. Like, you know, it's like a constant process of like reconciliation. There were a lot of places where you threw me off track, by the way, in
Really?
Wildmont Faith and Fury, even though it was like a short campaign and it felt like, you know, I was
Seems so
getting you to
control.
where I wanted you to go, but there were a lot of places where you threw me off track. My initial plan was one session in Zatash, 2 sessions in Allfield, 2 sessions in Komoda, and you didn't reach Komoda till like the last half of the last session. And I remember like complaining to Ari that they're not leaving Allfield. What do I do? Like they're not going. No matter
Amazing.
That's when I suggested murder, by the way. I was like, kill.
I think
not
that
kill
would
it.
have probably just made
Leave.
us stay even more. Like we would have been like, no, that we must find the assassin now.
Not the way I suggested it. I wanted Missy
No,
to
no.
kill them.
Sure.
We don't know who that is,
Go
but
watch,
okay, we'll
go
find.
watch the.
Oh,
Yeah.
never mind.
But no,
Don't worry.
but yeah, it's like a constant process. There's even if you have a short campaign, even if you have plotted everything out from you have your cliffhangers, you have your main scenes that you want to tell out, you have everything ready. The minute you play the first session, everything will like go for a toss. So be prepared to come back, revise, change on the go, but ask your players more importantly what they want to.
Yeah. No, I feel that definitely. Like in Blades of the Yanta, it's like I had like plans They're like, okay, each episode they're going to be in a different place. But instead, second episode, they were like, no, let's stick around here. Let's start a fight. Let's do this. And they only managed to reach, well, Kathmandu until at the end of the episode. I'm like, well, I'm really going to have to expedite because episode 3 was supposed to be in Delhi. So we're going to have to really, really ramp things up to get things going. And I managed it eventually with such, by hook or by crook, we managed to get there. But no, I don't regret any of the changes because like the time they spent wasn't wasted. It wasn't like they were dithering around. They punched bigots in the face, and I call that a win every day. I think that's a good win. I feel so bad that they ripped up that lovely Soviet picture, but what can be done? What's that? It's nice time. Our brave Soviet heroes. And like, no, it's us. It's not them. It's us. That was fine. They got really angry when they found someone else claiming something that Indians had done. That was a nice time.
I have a question because what something becomes apparent when you guys talk here is that even despite having checkpoints milestones you wanted to hit and having worked on character creation beforehand and known things that you can not touch and done it, players still manage to surprise you. So do you think this makes a good case for not worrying too much about this kind of taboo word of railroading, because it becomes such a common part of the discourse, like, oh, it's too railroady. But I think if the players have agreed to a certain experience, then they don't really care if the rails are there. Is this making a good case for that?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, if you're speaking very upfront, like this is the kind of experience that we're doing. We're not doing a big sandbox, explore what you want, create a kingdom, that kind of like thing. Like, no, this is the experience we want. People are in for it because as long as your experience isn't so constrictive, it's like you get to have the experience of like being a Power Ranger or being in the world of Wildman at this time, deciding the fate of the Dominion. Well, deciding, but it's like living through the fall of the Dominion. And like that was like how it was kind of sold. You're living, the Dominion's going to fall. We know it does in the history of Critical Role. But it's like, you're living the experience of someone who's someone who's affecting it or trying to stop it or whatever you're up to. So it's like you get to have that experience and you get to do a lot in that experience to figure out what you would kind of be in that experience. But because you've agreed to that experience, you can't like say, well, I want to be somewhere else. I want to be like, or like I don't want to like do this experience because that's what people are invested in. That's why you got to find people who are super excited for it. But yeah, I'll do it. I'll get up for it. Like people who are just like happy to do it. Like I honestly wasn't that excited for Critical Role because I don't watch Critical Role, so I wasn't. But I was excited because I trusted my players. I trusted Siva a great deal. Once I found out Ari was involved, I was like, oh my god, you should have led with that. But it's just like I was like, because I had that kind of trust, I went in. But otherwise, just like we know the experience. The experience is very upfront. We weren't misled or lied to. It's only when you deceive your players and you promise something that they don't get, then there's that disconnect. But if that is the experience you want for, yeah, like fun. It's like being invited to Disneyland. You're not going there with the idea that you're going to break down Disneyland or run and steal an alligator and bring it to Disneyland. That's not the promise of going to Disneyland.
Yeah. Fair enough.
That's the promise of going to Florida.
Well, yes, it is. And having never been to Florida, I don't think after that I will. But moving on. Siva, Ari, do you agree? Disagree? Yes.
I have one more thing though. One more thing though. Like the idea of like DM railroading is very weird for me because at the end of the day, all of these are collaborative stories. They're not exactly like one person is telling the story and you're sitting there just listening. Because even though the story was completely, I mean, I don't want to say completely set, but like you pretty much everyone knew the ending. But Faith and Fury was still like, you all drove the story as much as Shiva did. Like you still made your choices, and Ishkar especially like absolutely like changed most of the ending, and we still got to the same thing. Like it's not railroading if you're telling the story with the GM. Like sure, I'm saying okay, I'm setting this as the tone of it, but I'm not telling you that this is the story. Just sit down and play what I tell you to. We're not writing a play. I'm not giving you a play. We're making the story together, but I'm setting the tone. That's it. So I don't think railroading is a thing at all.
Absolutely. It's the same thing, right? You have the start point fixed and you have the end point fixed. And for a short campaign, that's all I need, right? I mean, we all just, we know where to end the campaign, or at least we have a fair idea where to end the campaign. How you get there is all up to the player's choices. There will be like, again, like the illusion of choice is a tool that the DM uses to herd the players in a specific direction. But it's not really railroading, because like as long as your choices are somewhere getting you to the end, it's not really the DM story. It is still your story. It is still, I mean, it's still the player's story. You make the choices that get to there. As long as you reach the end, it doesn't matter how you get there.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, our mission was find the high priest, the high cleric, and the only way to do that was, we had to follow the clues, and that's where the clues were leading us. It's not like none of us wanted to, like, no, you really care about high cleric. Like, no, not really. I'd rather go get food to feed these people. Like, no. We wanted to, and we all had that goal, so we were able to go in that direction. There was those we could have gone, but you knew what we wanted, and so we were able to commit to that. Like in the mask thing, I mean, we knew we wanted to be superheroes, so we went ahead in that direction. Like, go Shiva.
I mean, I just got reminded of that one extremely fortunate nat 20 that you all rolled to bring Indrani back into the campaign.
Oh yeah, I was about to ask the same thing. I was like, what if Raz's character just left? That would have been like you said that you were prepared for it, but I think also as on a stream level, it would have created such a division of focus, right? To jump between two very different points in the space of the game. So yeah, that's one of those crazy moments where the dice kind of kept the story in check.
That was. Anyone saying something? No.
No.
Oh, yeah.
No.
That was also like a point of contention when we were discussing that, like prep for that session. I think Shiva was very insistent on like having Sai say you have to leave, and I was genuinely worried that Indrani would just leave. I was like, you can't do that. Yeah. I was worried, but Shiva handled that amazingly. Like, I would have genuinely panicked if that had happened in any session I wanted. But yeah, that was.
I remember when this was playing out, and I was just because Indrani's character was role playing like possibly leaving, and I was like, we have the stream chat, right? Like I was just commenting, commit, leave, do it. I want to see this happen. Fuck us over. It will be because narratively that's so powerful, right? It just totally works. But on a meta level, you're like, oh no, this is a disaster. I loved it. I was very happy with how
you guys didn't see it because I edited it out, but these guys were teasing me. It's like, wow, Ishka confessed to feeling that, and suddenly she bounced. How's that going to make you feel? I'm like,
yeah, because also we wouldn't have any context, so we would just be like, either Ishkar killed her and disposed of the body, but he loves her. Unless he's a psychopath, he wouldn't kill somebody he loves.
Yeah, you would have ring of truth me. You would have found out what I said. And you would have been like, whoa, wow.
Yeah. So the other option is Raz was just like, nope, don't want to deal with confrontation, love. Heck no. Let's get out of here.
You got no time
amazing. All right. Before we wrap up, any last questions that you guys want to throw out? Comments? I have one last question to ask, but before that, I want to see if you guys have anything else.
Go watch Blades of Yanta and
do that definitely. If you haven't seen Blades of Yanta, if you haven't watched Masks Meets the Boys, and if you haven't seen Wild Mount, Faith and Fury, these are our 3 short campaigns. They're all 4 episodes, 5 episodes long. They're all 2 to 3 hours per episode, and they are a wonderful cast, a lot of fun. Highly recommend you check them out. They're on our YouTube channel.
Also, remember that we are still trying to raise money to our goal to pay everyone from the Wild Mount cast. So Ko-fi link's going to be in there. Please, if you can, any donation would be really helpful, and maybe that would help encourage more season 2 for one of these wonderful shows, or us bullying Ari into running something. Yeah, definitely.
Exactly.
Definitely. And of course, dibs.
Definitely dibs. So with that, I have one last question that I want to ask. What is a system that you guys are looking forward to trying out next? Because I'm always curious as to what's next on everyone's platter. So hit us with your ideas. And chat, tell us tell us what games you would like to see us play. But while our GMs tell us what games they would like to play. Siva, what's the system you want to try out?
I have to say Wonder Home, but that's only because of formality to 8-bit. But also, yeah, Wonder Home. I also like really wanting to try what's the name? The bed and breakfast one.
Yeah, Ziva's bed and breakfast.
Yeah, Ziva's bed and breakfast. Really been wanting to try out that. Hopefully get to run or play one of those sessions soon.
I'm gonna run it literally tonight. You don't get a choice. We're playing.
Can't be like faster than me now.
Amazing. I love it. So Possum Creek stands all around. Yes, we would love to see more games from them being played. Ari, what's a game you're looking forward to trying out next?
I have so many. I have an Apocalypse Keys campaign that I'm gonna start soon, hopefully. I just got Die yesterday. I am dying to try that one out. I still have to read it. But oh my god, I'm so excited for that one. Ezeba's obviously. I've already played it, but I still want to play it again. What's new? What's new? Oh, I want to play. Our April wrote a game for Spooky Jam that I'm really waiting to try out. I'll probably play it soon, but yeah, go check her out. Smarticot, I think on
Smarticot. Yes. Chirag.
Or just come to the server and play on the Spooky Week.
Every time someone says server, I have to put the server link in chat, and I will do that. Don't worry.
Wait.
Shubham, server.
Oh my God. It's there already. I don't have to it's not per instance. Okay, Chirag, tell us.
Yes. So I am planning, as I've told Shubham, I'm planning to get into Pathfinder 2e. I'm falling in love with that system as I'm learning and loving it. Okay, I'm going to get in and I'm going to pick one of the adventure parts, maybe to run on server, maybe to do paid. I'm not sure. Maybe both. Figure that out. Maybe some Starfinder. I've always been trying. I love sci-fi. I'd love to do some sci-fi, maybe on stream. But the most immediate one I'm going to be doing for Spooky Week is Inspectors. It's essentially Ghostbusters, which is has an interesting element that the GM. If you roll an odd number dice, the GM tells you what happens. But if you roll an even number on the dice, you get to decide what happens. So if you roll poorly but even, you get to say how you fucked up. If you roll even and well, you get to say what happens, which means you never know what the monster is. You don't know if it's a Scooby-Doo situation or if it actually is a monster underneath the mask. So that's what I'm going to have fun playing. All of that with a startup spirit. It's going to be a good time for Spooky Week. Spooky Week.
Nice. I am finally getting around to trying out 2 different games this weekend, assuming I get players. If you want to be in one of these, please go sign up. Alice is Missing, which is a game where you are all communicating through text chat, looking for the person named Alice in a small suburban town in US, but we'll put it in India. And you basically just use a bunch of clues to try piece together the mystery and confront your own traumas and secrets. And the other one is Kids on Bikes, which is all about a bunch of kids on bicycles in a small town trying to solve a mystery that is well beyond their means, which is very much Stranger Things or Stephen King or I'm trying to think of Kids Next Door.
Hardy Boys?
Hardy Boys, Famous Five, but with a dash of...
Famous Five, yes.
Yeah, with a dash of, what do you call it, fantasy, right? Or sci-fi even.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really curious to try it out. I honestly feel like Hunter's Entertainment might be hitting the note I want with a lot of the kind of games I want to play. Because Kids on Bikes, Kids on Brooms, even their zombie survivor game, all sound like just enough of what I want. And also, yeah, like Chirag said, Pathfinder, both of us have gone and written an adventure for Pathfinder. And because of that, we obviously had to study the whole damn system. So we had a blast studying it. And it's the most backwards way to learn a game. Instead of playing it and then writing an adventure, we were like, we will study the game, write an adventure, and then we'll go play it. Yeah. So we now have really kind of fallen in love with the system and kind of want to go and play that. So I'm going to throw all of those names out there. Yes.
I have one more if I can.
Of course.
I want to play Discord. This Discord has ghosts in it, which is half text and half voice. So there are like ghosts who can only type, and there are investigators who can only speak on voice, which is like one of the best mechanics I've heard. It only works on Discord, and I am
Right.
so excited. I'm so excited to try it out. Me and Tan have this like plan of like co-DMing one of them being ghosts and letting players be investigators, where DMs
Yeah.
just don't speak at all. So I'm very excited for that one.
It sounds like an incredible
That sounds
mechanic.
fun.
I love it when the system also starts using the very world that the players inhabit to make the game. It's very cool. It's kind of very experimental and fun. All right, that's all the time we have, everybody. So we will be calling it a day or an evening wherever you are. Thank you for joining us for this Game Master Q&A. We will be seeing you soon. Desis&Dragons is planning more content, but possibly not next week, as we take some time to just get rest and recuperate. It's been a long 4 or 5 weeks with Wildmount, Faith and Fury, so we just want to reset, also get a lot of company admin done. But if you want to watch content, it's all there on YouTube. Make sure to check it out. This has been me, Shubham, Siva, Chirag, Ari. Here to answer your questions. It's been a blast. Thank you, everybody. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.